Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Belichick's Bitches Podcast, the number one podcast in the world by some sort of metric, using the best source, the only source. Do trust me. I am your host, Brennan, and along with me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler.
And it's football season.
Finally.
It has been a rough off season. It's been long. It's been terrible. It's been quarantined, and it's been freaking awful. But we're finally back. Football. We're actually recording this on Thursday, just a few hours before kickoff.
Yeah, literally
Texans and Chiefs.
6 hours before kickoff. Almost six and a
So
half.
a little bit later of an episode, but man, it feels so good to have football
Yeah,
back.
we just haven't had the
And of
time
course,
to record this earlier.
of course, now with the season kind of around the corner. Of course, all of the storylines just kind of come out around this time. So it's going to be probably a little longer episode in advance, but we're going to try to get through it as quick as we can.
Yep.
So it doesn't drag. So we're just going to jump right into it. Deshaun Watson got paid.
Unfortunately for
160?
Deshaun Watson. I mean, good for him. He got his money,
Yeah,
but with the Texans.
He's stuck with Houston for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
And man, I mean, I feel bad for him. I hope he doesn't turn out to be a Stafford type guy. He just kind of wastes his career.
That would really suck. Stafford,
and
Staffords and
on a team that's like, I just don't want to see him going 8-8 every year, because I think he's so much better than that. So he's re-signed with Houston. That should be, it's good. Again, it's good for his pocket, but I don't know about Houston
and good for Houston fans. That's pretty much it.
And then in the same draft class, so one quarterback just took home 160 million.
The second other overall pick in that year's draft class.
And then another quarterback got 200 million from this draft class. And then there's Trubisky, who actually was named the starter.
Yeah, he was named the starter over Nick Foles.
Everyone had Nick Foles winning it. I don't think he'll end the season as the starter.
No.
Only with those tight quarterback position battles, the starter normally doesn't finish the season.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it goes, be it injury or just lack of play.
And
so Trubisky's the starter. This is his last chance with Chicago.
Yeah, this should be his last chance. Should be.
I think it'll be interesting to see what he does. But at the same time, I just don't think he has the talent to be a quarterback one.
Yeah. I saw an interesting stat that Trubisky is lowest among all qualifying quarterbacks in depth of target. His average depth of target is 6 yards.
Yeah. And you can tell whenever he does go outside that 6 yards, his accuracy just falls off.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it could be just a confidence thing. It could be how much can you really blame on scheme at the end of the day?
At this point, you have to feel pretty comfortable with the scheme.
I think if you look at Trubisky's body of work and you don't look that he was picked number 2, I don't think he's even in on the Bears roster. No. They have to play him because of
name value, draft value, all that kind of stuff.
But I expect Nick Foles to be a starter by week 6, week 7. And I don't expect Trubisky to play more than 8 games.
Yeah.
So he could be a trade target for a couple teams looking for backups near the trade deadline. If he does show enough to be a backup, could be a trade target for some teams. I don't think that penalty would be too bad. Ooh, another high-profile quarterback got cut.
Well,
Rosen.
Profile.
I mean, high draft pick. Those guys are always going to be high-profile.
True.
So, he just never caught on with Miami. He couldn't take the job over from Fitz last season. And then they drafted Tua. So he was like, the third quarterback? And you don't keep 3 competent quarterbacks on your team. Yeah. You keep 2 and then 1 develop. So he's actually on Tampa Bay's practice squad.
Oh, is that where he went to?
Behind Brady. He went to Tampa Bay. Yeah, he's in Tampa Bay. He turned down a couple offers to join 53-man rosters and took the practice squad job behind Brady. Interesting.
Hopefully that'll be good for him.
When he came out, he was known as the safest quarterback on the board. And yeah, safest is not always the best.
Yeah, definitely not.
So I think he's been really unlucky. He's been really unlucky though. I mean, I can't you can't blame it all on him. He went to the Cardinals, didn't want him because they changed coaching staffs. Then he went to the Dolphins, who really didn't need him because Fitzpatrick was able to produce a good season.
I don't know if we said this
So
on last podcast or I just sent it to you over our DMs, but there is actually a thing going on that when Rosen actually went to Miami, that it was learned that Arizona never even taught Rosen how to ID the mic.
I saw that. Yes, we didn't talk about it, but I did see that. That's embarrassing. um, that's just lack of fundamentals. I mean, hell,
The fact that
how do you not know how to
Arizona
ID a
hadn't
mic?
even taught him that, and he was their starting quarterback for the most of his rookie season.
Yeah,
Like,
and
what are
he
you
was
doing with
playing.
your development over there?
Yeah, and then in Miami, yeah, they may have taught him that, but he probably I bet you that year in Miami was just all about him having to learn the nuances of being a quarterback, which he
Oh
should
yeah,
have done in the off season of his first year. So I feel bad for Rosen. I think he has potential. I don't know if he'll ever get the chance. He'll be in Tampa Bay. Who knows? Maybe Tampa Bay will use him next year if Brady retires. I don't know. Um, this one didn't make any sense when I saw the news on it. I don't know about you. The Lynn Bowden trade
yeah,
was
that
weird.
was strange.
So the Raiders drafted Lynn Bowden what in the third or fourth
Third,
third round.
third.
Very dynamic player out of Kentucky. I personally thought
Could use
he
him
was one
as
of
a
my
Taysom
favorite.
Hill
Like
type even, because he
yeah,
played quarterback at Kentucky as well while their starters were out.
quarterback, running back, receiver. You could even slide him in at tight end if you wanted to. He could play special teams. I loved the pick for the Raiders. Something's going on. He had some issues, some legal issues early on that wasn't really anything major. Uh, but apparently they just figured they would trade him now, which I don't understand. So they traded him to the Dolphins for a fourth and a sixth. Oh, they traded Bowden in a fourth
Yeah,
to the
well, there
Dolphins,
were there
and
were
they
separate
got
trades.
back
They traded
McMillan.
originally. They
Right.
originally traded Lynn Bowden for a fourth and a sixth, but then later there was a trade where the Raiders sent over a fourth for Raekwon McMillan. So I
Oh,
just figured might as well just lump them in as the same
okay.
as part of the
That's
same
how that
trade
read.
because
Okay, so that's how that
that's how
reads.
it really
Okay.
looks like it happened.
So they really traded Lynn Bowden for Raekwon McMillan in a sixth, and McMillan's on the last year of his deal.
Yeah, and they
That
just
don't
swapped
make sense.
fourths.
That don't make sense. I'm sorry. I think that's a bad trade for both. I mean, Mayock, I don't know what he was thinking there. I think Miami got a steal in that because they have Matt Breida and Jordan Howard
Yeah.
at running back. They have that two at attack. I think Bowden will be kind of the change of pace for those two guys. I think you'll see a lot of two running back sets with Breida and Bowden out there, and I can't wait to see him in Miami. I think he's going to be a good find. I love his potential.
Yeah.
Ooh, you want to get the pain out of the way?
The pain.
It Von Miller.
Uh,
I'll let you take this one because it's pretty gross.
so what was it? 2 days ago, literally on the last play of practice, Von Miller gets some freak ankle injury, reportedly out for the season. I saw this and I was so distraught. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Pardon my French, but oh my lord. Turns out that he dislocated his peroneal tendon, and essentially the tendon had flipped over the ankle bone, and that does not sound great. And the
Yeah.
best option is surgery, with a general recovery time of 5 to 6 months. Absolute best case is 3 months.
So if they're competing, he may return for the late season push. But I mean,
That is a
you,
major, major, major
yeah,
loss, especially with Bradley Chubb coming in
on a
off the
snap count.
ACL and on a
Yeah,
snap count early on.
yeah.
We're going to be relying heavily on
Huh.
Jeremiah Tauchu and Malik Reed as possibly
Yeah.
our starting edge rushers going into this season. And just going into the next thing, with Von Miller out, he was our best run defender left on the roster. And we cut Todd Davis earlier this off season. Like, I think probably like a few days before that, right before the 53-man rosters came out. He was by far our best run-stopping linebacker, and we cut him. So we are without our two best run stoppers on defense going into Week 1, Monday Night Football, against the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. I am fully expecting a loss Week 1 now. My predictions for the Broncos went from like 10-6 or 9-7 down to like 7-9, give or take 2 games.
Well, the issue, and then again, another thing that's not getting talked about with Miller is the double teams that he would draw.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be even harder for Bradley Chubb when he gets back, if he does play a full season. He's going to be getting the double teams now because he's the best D lineman available left. So he's going to get the double teams. And in the run game, like you said, I mean, that's such a huge loss. Man, I just feel bad for Miller because, like you said, his contract expires after this season. So he's going to be a free agent. Could be his last game in Denver, which is just...
I really hope not. I really hope not.
Because that would be just killer. Ooh,
I cannot imagine the Denver Broncos without Von Miller. He's been the face of the franchise ever since Peyton Manning retired.
Now let's get into these contracts. Okay. Is White signed a 4-year, $70 million extension. In my opinion, he's the second best corner in the league.
Yes.
Easily. And then Jalen Ramsey, who's been a little inconsistent last year or so, signed a 5-year, $105 million deal. Listen, I'm not trying to shit on Ramsey because I think he's a really good, just as good of a corner. I think he's still top 5 worthy. But
he's just
4 years, 70, and then $45 million increase just over 1 more year.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Bills got out with bandits on that trade.
That
sign.
Yeah.
That's a huge to lock up him on 4 year 70.
That was a great contract.
That's probably what
for
Gilmore
Buffalo
would have asked for 2 years ago.
That was a great contract for Buffalo by far.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remembered this. When Tre'Davious White got drafted, right after that draft, the whole scouting team got sacked.
Oh, really?
After that draft.
No, I didn't hear about that.
So, and the coach did not want Tre'Davious White at first. And when he saw how good he was, it didn't matter. But that's a nice little tidbit is when the Bills initially didn't have any interest in Tre'Davious White. And now he's their best player on defense. Just a little, I just kind of knew that.
Yeah, I didn't even hear that.
What else was there? Yeah, I heard that in Grenading Trees video a couple years ago at the draft. That was I don't know if he's still making videos. I need to double check.
He is, yeah, he is.
Keenan Allen got paid, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago in those wide receiver rankings.
Honestly, I thought he would have paid
more. We
more.
think he's one of the best route runners. Me too. And hey, 4 year 80.
That's pretty good.
Chargers
for the Chargers
do have a lot of cap. They do have a lot of cap room. So I think that's a good deal. You lock up best receiver that you've had in a while in his prime. I have him in fantasy, so I can't wait to see that. I need him to perform.
I think I do as well. Like on my.
So I think that would be. Yeah. If we had more time, I'd actually go over our teams, but we don't have enough time for that. But yeah, Keenan Allen, man, he's just so underrated. Oh, your favorite player got signed, yeah. Your favorite player.
The above-average run stopper, Jadeveon Clowney, was signed to the Titans with a base value of $13 million contract, but a max value of $15 million with like incentives based on like snap count. They make playoffs and statistical stuff. I kind of like this move for Tennessee. Titans fans, you got to calm down. I've seen on Twitter the Titans fans calling Clowney like an elite edge rusher and having him opposite side of Harold Landry is gonna make Harold Landry that much better. Like it'll definitely draw some attention away from Harold Landry, which will open up some more opportunities for him. But Clowney as an elite edge rusher no.
I definitely think Landry is the better pass rusher.
Yeah, Landry is the better pass rusher of the two. Clowney is a much better run stopper, as I've said many times in this podcast.
The two is I think they're going to be a very good combo. And the thing about Tennessee is they were really missing that second passer. They're using Kamalia Correa
Yeah.
Even over Cameron Wake, they were using Kamalia Correa, and it just wasn't working. Because Correa is a smaller stature, and people were running over him on the right side. It just wasn't working. So I think Clowney's going to shore up a huge issue. I think the Titans with that move, I think that gives them that push over the AFC East. I just don't see it
You mean
in
NFC
that division
South?
this year. I think the Colts are AFC South. I still think the Colts are a year away. I don't think Philip Rivers is going to be the answer. Well, that defense is going to be gross. I think we all know about Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I don't think Houston's going to be there, especially without Clowney and without D Hop. Speaking of D Hop,
And JJ can only do so much on defense.
Yeah. D Hop actually signed a 2-year, $55 million deal. Extension, sorry. So he's now tied to the Cardinals for what?
4 years?
3 or 4 more years.
Yeah.
So he's like now what, the highest paid receiver, second highest paid receiver.
I believe so. I believe it's highest.
I think that's great for them. For him, I think the Cardinals could definitely use that. I'm excited to see that offense. I even drafted Kyler Murray in one of my fantasy leagues just for that.
I almost did. I really wanted to, but he had the same bye week as Lamar Jackson, who I already had drafted, so I couldn't justify that.
Yeah. Pick. Sorry about the noise in the back. I don't know what that is.
It's a dog.
What was the doorbell going off? Penei Sewell. Opted out of. Yeah, he opted out of the 2021 season.
Yeah, he opted.
He's following Mark Chase from last week.
Penei Sewell, probably the best offensive tackle I've seen in college football. At least from when I started scouting. This dude's only 19 years old, and we're talking about him as probably the best non-quarterback in this year's draft class. Could potentially go top 3. Penei Sewell is extremely good. I saw like a stat from like PFF. I think it was like he hasn't allowed over 2 quarterback pressures in a single game his entire career in Oregon. Something crazy like that. He is one of the best pass blockers I've ever seen. His run blocking is good, but still leaves left to be desired. But he is an elite pass blocking tackle, and he's only 19.
As someone who just turned 21 this week, that hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts a lot. Anyway, that made me feel bad.
I'm right there behind you, man.
Aqib Talib retired. He actually had a call from Belichick to join New England because I guess he's worried about our depth because Jawan Williams is Jawan Williams. He's second-round pick in New England, which means he's probably not good.
Poor Jawan Williams.
So he asked to come back. Aqib Talib said, "No, I just want to retire." So he's underrated. I mean, I think when you look at his career now after it's done,
yeah,
that's just crazy.
Doesn't he hold the record for the most pick sixes?
Yeah, he has like I don't know if he has the record. I feel like that's Woodson, but
it's up there though. He's definitely up
there.
He
had he had 6 in his career with Denver, which was only 4 years.
Yeah,
6.
I still remember that like 105-yard pick 6 against the Cowboys. That was amazing.
But yeah, Talib was just so entertaining to watch, and
especially against Michael.
He was onto it. Him and Revis that 1 year in New England, and when him and Revis were together for that 1 year, that was just a filthy defense. I miss that corner duo so bad. So that was pretty much all the storylines beside this one. Our team's 53-man rosters. I'll start. Not really any surprises on New England's. Undrafted free agent. The only undrafted free agent we kept, we always keep one, is J.J. Taylor. Running back. He's probably going to be a backup to James White's role to catch him backfield. Not going to get any more than not going to get any more than 2 or 3 targets a game. Even that will be pretty extreme. But with Damien Harris being out on IQ on the injured reserve for 6 weeks, I don't know. You could see some stuff, especially with how Sony Michel as well. I don't even know. We don't know anything about those running back core. But our running back core has a lot of mouths to feed with Bolden. Bolden opted out.
Yeah.
Burkhead, White, Shell, and then now JJ Taylor. But every other undrafted free agent got either put on the practice squad or got cut. I think Lewerke. No, Lewerke didn't make the practice squad. I didn't go. You know that. That was funny. And then what about the Broncos 53?
So I'm not gonna go over each position. I'm gonna go over what surprised me. We kept 5 tight ends. One of them
Oh yeah,
being round of applause for Jake Butt
but
making the 53-man roster. No issues whatsoever for like the first time ever in one of his NFL camps. He's gone through 3 ACL surgeries his entire career, and he's finally. It looks like he's finally healthy. Had no issues at all during camp. No limping whatsoever. Everyone on that roster was rooting for him, and he really impressed the coaching staff in training camp. So good on him.
that was really cool to see. I wonder how long that's gonna stay though. Because you can't. I don't know if they can maintain that for a whole season because injuries are going to happen at other positions,
Yeah.
and you're going to need it. So I'm interested to see if they do have to cut a tight end, which one of those 5 it's going to be. If they're going to cut Butt, because I hear he's a locker room like favorite.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone in the locker room loves Jake Butt. So cutting him could really hurt their morale, especially after he makes the roster. That guy could hurt morale a little bit. So maybe they would cut one of their other tight ends. Maybe Andrew Beck would be the first one to go.
Probably, but
He is a fullback.
well, yeah, he plays fullback tight end hybrid, but also Jake Butt has been also filling that role in training camp as well. So it
What
just
is it
depends on
with
who the staff likes most, and with the locker room being so in favor of Butt, I'd assume it'd be Beck.
what is it with former undrafted Patriot tight end slash fullbacks that teams just love? Like, but Hollister, when we had Goose Gronkowski, the Bills snatched him up for like a few games. Stay away from our tight ends and fullbacks, man. Jeez.
Hey, you guys took what was it, Matt Lacoste, or
Yeah, and he sucks.
he had a pretty good preseason though. So we also had an undrafted rookie make our roster. I believe it's 16 out of the last 17 years we've had an undrafted rookie make the final 53, and that would be rookie corner. Oh, probably a more accurate nickelbacker. Um, Asang Basey from Wake Forest. He made a roster as our 6th cornerback, and he'll probably most likely play the slot whenever he plays. I believe the coaching staff said that they really liked Asang Basey. What they saw out of him, they reminded him of a young Bryce Callahan, who was our current nickel corner. And it's interesting, we only kept 3 safeties, but I guess we did keep Duke Dawson, who was kind of underwhelming in camp, but had a good season last year for us. So he'll probably slot in as that 4 safety, 6 corner role. We already went over the cut Todd Davis, and I think that's pretty much it for the Broncos.
Yeah. So season predictions. Now we're going to do our NFC predictions. Again, these are all valid because we're doing it before the Houston game.
Yes.
Even though that would have no bearing on these, but they're still valid. So NFC North, man, NFC North is always a dogfight, and the teams always seem close, even when their talent isn't very close itself. But this is the first season where I think it's actually going to be a pretty lax bottom of the division. I have the Bears going 3-13. I don't like that Bears team. I don't.
I don't blame you.
I love the defense. I think they have a very good defense, and don't get me wrong about that. But I don't trust Trubisky, and I don't trust Foles that much more. And I think the other teams in the division are just that much better.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would rather, even the Lions. I think the Lions are significantly better than the Bears. So I put 3-13. Could they win maybe 6 games? Yeah, maybe. I had them going 3-13, and the only thing I had them doing was beating Houston in Week 14 as kind of like an upset win. I think I had Foles starting that game. Kind of a little upset, but yeah, definitely going to be a negative season for Chicago. And not a top 5 picking. If I had to pick a team for Trevor Lawrence, it'd be Chicago.
I have the Bears going 3-13 as well. I think they start off with a loss against the Lions, and I don't see them recovering until maybe their bye week in week 12, maybe week 6 against the Panthers. If uh, yeah, I don't see them having a good
Yeah,
season at all.
it definitely seems like even the vibe around the team, when you hear the players, it definitely feels like a transition year.
Yeah.
Um, which means they just got out of like a 5-year rebuild. It feels like so. It just sucks for them. Lions, I am going 6-10. I like the Lions roster, but I don't know if I trust Patricia.
That's
You
fair.
know, and it sucks because I really do enjoy watching Stafford play. One of my favorite quarterbacks in the league.
UGA.
But at the same time, man, he's just not. He's gotten really unlucky with that team. He probably should have left
Oh
when
yeah.
he had the chance, but he couldn't when he didn't. It just sucks. I do have them losing to Week 13 versus Chicago. Again, another upset. I think Chicago gained momentum around the end of the season, but I think 6-10. I think if Detroit really wants to compete with Packers and Vikings, they need a new coach. And I'm not trying to call for Patricia's job, but I think that's the only way the Lions are going to succeed.
I would agree. I have the Lions at 7-9. I think their defense got significantly better. They have a sneaky good secondary. They have a good trio of corners with Desmond Trufant, Justin Coleman in this slot, and Ricky Jeffrey Okuda.
Yeah.
Their defensive line has improved a little bit as well.
Got
Um,
Jamie Collins to shore up the a little bit more of a pass rush.
yeah.
Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers isn't doing it all by himself.
And as always, I like their offense. I'm not sure why they took DeAndre Swift in the second round. I felt that pick would have been spent better on a wide receiver, honestly.
Then they drafted Dion, and then they signed Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, and they signed Adrian Peterson as well.
Someone who had Kerryon Johnson in free agency or in fantasy football. That kind of annoyed me because I thought Kerryon would be a nice little handcuff. Guess not.
Yeah, I have their
Not
key
anymore.
loss coming against the Panthers in Week 11.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what really just like kicks them out of the playoff hunt. Because games like that, if you losing so late in the season, around mid mark, and it just doesn't bode well, especially if you lose against a non-playoff team like the Panthers.
Um, I had the Vikings, and I can't believe this record, but I looked at their schedule. I think it's appropriate. I have them going 11-5. The Vikings. I think this team. I trust Kirk Cousins in the regular season. I can't speak on the playoffs, but as a regular season quarterback, I trust Kirk Cousins probably more than most. I do think he's good enough to lead this team to 11-5.
If he dies, he dies.
I think there's a good chance. I do think there's a good chance they win the division over the Packers. And this one, I had them tying, and the Packers had a week over the win over the Vikings in like week 6. So I think that was the deciding game. But other than that, yeah, I love the Vikings team. I think their defense is great. Daniil Hunter, I think, is injured though, which is going to be the only issue. He is injured, but Vikings 11-5. I trust. I trust Cousins to get it done. I have their key win at week 14 versus Tampa Bay.
I have
They actually seem to get in there.
the Vikings going 9-7, just barely missing the playoffs. They're honestly their schedule is kind of rough this season. That's mainly the main reason. Other than that, I really like this Vikings team. I just don't think the schedule favors them all too well. I think their key loss comes to I think it's really like probably the division deciding game. They lose in week 17 to the Lions, and that shoves them out of the playoffs.
That'd be interesting to see. Man, they're overrated or underrated or somewhere in between. Because I think they're overrated by Packers fans.
Oh yeah.
And they've been getting a lot of disrespect from the media this season or this off season. And normally I try to shit on the Packers any way I can because I hate the Packers. But I don't. Did they have a bad draft? Yeah, pretty bad draft. But I don't think it's enough to make them, I don't know, 9-7, 8-8, like some people are predicting them. The Packers are going to be the Packers. They're going to win 10 games, 11 games. I have them going 11-5. They're going to win 11 games. They're probably going to look unimpressive versus some. They're going to look dominant versus others. They may get some help from the refs like usual. And I think they'll probably lose in the wild card round or the divisional round, like usual. I'm not very high on Rodgers in the postseason, and I'm not very high on the coach either. Before, but I feel like at the end of the day they're probably still going to win 10, 11 games. As much as I wish that didn't happen. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going 10-6. Actually, they finished as the number 2 seed in the NFC with the 10-6 record for me. Their key win comes against the Buccaneers in Week 6, right after the Packers get off their bye week. A nice revitalized win for them to kind of give them some momentum.
So let's go NFC South, a very hyped up division this year for sure. The Panthers. I feel like the Panthers are one of the most polarizing teams out there in the league right now.
Either you think they suck or not.
Really. If you really don't believe in Bridgewater and think he's a bum, you think this team's going 2-14, 3-13. But I'm kind of on the other end. I really do like Matt Rule. I really do like Bridgewater. I just think they need another season before they're contending. So I have them going 6-10. I wouldn't be shocked to see them win 7 or 8 games. I wouldn't. I really like the team. I like the offensive playmakers. I like Robbie Anderson and Curtis Samuel on the same team.
Yeah, they have a sneaky good receiving core.
Love that. I even picked up Curtis Samuel as a sneaky little flex option. I think that was I love Curtis Samuel.
And they don't have a terrible offensive line.
No, they don't. The only thing I didn't like is they traded Trey Turner for Russell Okung.
Yeah.
And I think Okung, didn't he opt out or something like that? Or is he still playing? I'm not sure. I have to look that up. Versus the Raiders, and I think Teddy B goes out there this week, and I think he throws 3 touchdowns in his first game. I think that's going to be his statement because people are still doubting him, and rightfully so. He's played 5 games in the last 3 years, so rightfully so. But I'm kind of rooting for the Panthers. I really like the way they're set up.
Yeah, I would agree. I have the Panthers going 7-9, except I have their key loss coming Week 1 against the Raiders.
Really?
I think Teddy Bridgewater still does really well. I think he has a winning record starting as a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, I have faith in the Panthers. I like what they have going on down there, and
also they have Joe Carolina. Brady. That was kind of under the radar acquisition.
As an offensive coordinator,
cool. Yeah, and they got Joe Brady. And Joe Brady, like we saw at LSU last year, he knows how to work an offense. It's going to be interesting to see what his offense does in the NFL. I do think there's going to be a transition period the first year. I mean, they drafted all rookies, defensive rookies.
Well, that's usually what you draft is all rookies.
Shut up. They drafted all defensive rookies, not one offensive rookie. So there's going to be a learning curve on that defense, but I'm looking forward to it. Falcons, I have going 7-9.
Wait. One last thing about the Panthers.
What?
Thank you for drafting my draft crush and Jeremy Chin. I hope he plays great for y'all. Nephew of Steve Atwater. Okay.
7-9 Falcons. I think this is more of not because the Falcons are bad, or I don't think they're bad. I think they're in a division with 2 powerhouses. So I kind of had to give them that boot 7-9. I just think that the division's going to be too tough. I think they're going to lose. They're probably going to get swept by both the teams above them, and they could lose a game to the Panthers in between. That's 5 losses right there. And I think the schedule's pretty tough outside of that too. I don't actually remember. They do have to play the AFC West. So they play the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders. I have them losing Week 9 versus the Broncos. I think that's their loss. Yay. That really kind of starts setting the tone. And think I think this is going to be a season where the Falcons really need to focus on getting better in the front office. I'm not going to say who, but the front office needs a lot of work and the coaching staff. Yeah.
I have the Falcons going 9-7. They actually sneak in as the final wild card team for me at the 7 seed.
Huh.
And I think they get a sneaky upset against the Saints in Week 11 after their bye week in New Orleans. I have that as their key win to help them really make up that playoff push.
Yeah. They definitely could win upwards of 9 to 10 games. It's just, I don't know, man. Dan Quinn is just, he's been inconsistent.
Oh, to say the least.
As that coach.
They've been, 24-24 ever since they lost the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, they just haven't been able to find rhythm. His defense is still soft zones. Apparently, from what I've heard, they've changed the defensive scheme, but we don't know until we see it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a hot take. In second place in the NFC South, I have the Saints going 10-6. Kind of a regression year for these Saints. I think did they get better in the offseason? Kind of, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to be better than Tampa Bay. And I think Breeze he's gonna be good. I think they're gonna have a win to make the playoffs type thing, Week 15 versus the Chiefs. I think they're gonna compete in that game. I think they're gonna actually outshoot the Chiefs. But I think there's a man in the NFC South that's gonna prevent the Saints from taking the NFC South champ. I have them going 10-6. I could see them winning up to a 12 games. We'll talk about that man in a minute.
I also have the Saints going 10-6.
Really?
Yep, they're making it as my number 6 seed. And their key win is Week 15 against the Chiefs.
God damn it, I was going to try to catch you off guard with Tampa Bay winning that division.
I was silently laughing at how similar that was.
Shit. Hell, damn.
I completely agree on the Saints.
Dang it. Okay. That's the third time you've done this with these predictions.
Do you want me to start going first?
So I want to talk about Tampa Bay. They're the winners of the Tampa Bay. They're the winners of the offseason, which normally is not a good. That's normally not a good title. The winner of the offseason. Normally, it's kind of a overhyped title, and they are definitely getting a lot of hype in the media, but I had to have. I'm going 12-4. I think Tampa Bay is going to be insane. That offense they added I did this prediction before they added Fournette. Added Fournette to this team. Gonna be a good goal line back. Could be running back 1 if Ronald Jones steps back. We won't know how that plays out. Yeah. But you have Gronk, you have Evans, you have Godwin. You have a sneaky good defense that was like 3rd in DVOA last year. Todd Bowles, he can run a defense. He's aggressive, man. He's
my kind of defense.
Yeah. Very aggressive. I have them going 12-4. I have their key win Week 9 versus the Saints. I think they lose this week. I think the first week's going to be a wake-up moment for the team. That they may be, the off-season champs, but this is, the regular season. I have them losing Week 1, but I have them crushing the Saints Week 9. I think that's going to start their domination. So, 12-4 Buccaneers take it to the bank.
I have the Buccaneers also winning the division. They get the 3rd seed in the NFC. But, like the Saints, they're going 10-6.
Oh.
Yeah, and I have their key win Week 15 against the Falcons away in Atlanta. They get that win. I just feel like they win out the rest of their games. They win against the Falcons in Week 17 and the Buccaneers in Week 16. And it just really gives them that final edge over the Saints with the in-division record.
Man, the NFC South is going to be a dogfight this year. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it. I just can't. Football, man. I can't wait.
Finally,
tonight's gonna be so fun.
I can't wait for tonight. Honestly,
yeah. I've cleared my schedule and everything.
Yep. I'm gonna be off in some other city, but when that time comes around, it's like, nope. I'm going I'm gonna find like a sports bar or something. Like find some restaurant and I'm watching the game.
Oh man, I can't wait. So let's talk about the train wreck division.
The NFC East.
And
Oh
this
boy.
division
I had to
is
actually change up this division from when I first did my very first predictions on this division. I've changed it up so much. I'll talk about it when we're done with this division. I'll talk about what I changed.
and okay, I'm gonna start it off with Washington. Washington improved a lot this offseason. They were one of my offseason winners. Remember in the first episode or second episode, we did our offseason winners. They were my offseason winner.
Antonio Granny Golden.
But yeah, Golden. But at the same time, quarterback situation is going to be key. I don't know if Haskins is ready to lead a team past 6 wins. I don't think so. And I think you'll see Alex Smith probably play some games at quarterback this year. I'd say upwards of 4 or 5 in that area. I have them losing week 6 versus the Giants. And I think that kind of just sets the tone for Washington this year. It's kind of a 5-11 team, not really there yet. But I think they're going to be a better team than they were last year.
So what's their record from?
So
5-11, is that what we said?
5-11.
Okay.
Last in the NFC East. Who do you have them going? Or who do you have fourth? Because you could have the Giants at fourth.
I have the Washington football team, also at 4. That's gonna be something to get used to.
Yeah.
I think their schedule is way too tough, honestly, for them to get 5 wins. I have them going 2-14 with the number 1 overall, compete for the number 1 overall pick with I think the Jaguars. Yeah, I really like their front 7. I like the off-season moves that they made. Again, Dwayne Haskins. Maybe hopefully we can see Alex Smith. That'd be cool to see. If he takes a single snap, he got my vote for comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
But I just don't see him gaining more than 2 wins, honestly. I think they lose week 11 to the Bengals. That's probably the nail in the coffin there. They probably get their 2. I think they get their 2 wins against the Giants. I think that's their only 2 wins the entire season.
Interesting. Yeah, I really do think I think the reason I have them winning 5 games is that defense. That defense is gross, and I think Sweat's going to really take a step forward this year. I mean, you have Sweat, Kerrigan, and Chase Young. That's a nasty 3-headed.
Kerrigan is not even going to be starting. If you look at their depth chart, he's
not.
backup.
He's going to be a rotational guy. He'll probably play about 20%. I could see Kerrigan getting traded before the trade deadline.
Denver, please.
But
please, we need him.
New England, please. We need edge rusher.
No.
Although he wouldn't really fit. He wouldn't really fit the scheme. He'd be more of like a. He wouldn't really fit New England. He can't really drop in coverage.
Denver, just send like a 3rd or a 4th. Come on, let's get Ryan Kerrigan.
Giants. 5-11 again for these for the NFCs. I really like the Giants. They're one of my sneaky teams that I really think is going to be good this year. They have Darius Slayton, who I'm huge on. I think he's going to have a good sophomore year. You have Danny Dimes, who's going to just progress. And you have a defense that is quietly becoming pretty decent. Do I think they could lose more? Probably. I don't think they'll win above 5 games. I think maybe 3 to 5 wins is in the Giants. But I think it's going to be a step in the right direction for the Giants this year. I have them winning week 4 versus the Rams. We'll talk about the Rams later. But I have them actually beating the Rams week 4.
Yeah, when I was originally doing my predictions, I had the Giants at 8-8. Then I took another look afterwards, and I don't trust the defense as much for an 8-8 team. I think like you said, they're improving. This will definitely be a step in the right direction season for them. But I saw them going 5-11, with their key loss being week 13 to the Seahawks. Just coming off a win against the Bengals after their bye week, and then they lose to the Seahawks, and they'll lose out the rest of their schedule against the Cardinals, Browns, Ravens, and Cowboys.
Yeah. Ooh, so now we're getting into the 2 teams that normally compete for this division. The Cowboys. I've been going 9-7. You know, I don't know how. I honestly can't pick between the Eagles and Cowboys. I have them both going 9-7 because I don't think there's any difference between the two teams. The difference is the Eagles have a better quarterback, and in my opinion, that's kind of what gives them the edge, and that's why they win the division.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not high on either team. I don't like the Philadelphia wide receiving core still. I don't really like the offensive line, with all the injuries, and I'm still really worried about how that secondary is going to hold up, even with Slay.
Yeah.
So Cowboys again, I don't trust Dak. No, I don't think he makes your team better, but I don't think he makes the team worse. And I don't see it. So I have both of them going 9-7. I have the Eagles winning Week 16 versus the Cowboys, which was my key win and key loss for both. I have the key win for the Eagles. I think that's what puts them in the playoffs, and then they beat Washington the week after. But I'm not looking. The NFC East, I don't think, is going to be the best division to watch this year.
No.
I think they might be the worst. I mean, the AFC South and the AFC East are probably just going to be dumpster fires.
At second place in the NFC East for me, I originally had the Giants actually at 8-8. The Eagles I had winning the division at 9-7, but now here they are in second place at 6-10 for me. The injuries, are rough. Their left tackle, um, Vitae, I believe his name is, um,
Dillard.
Dillard. Vitae was okay.
Ty went to the Lions on
Yeah.
a 3-year, $30 million
Yeah,
deal.
Dillard, Andre Dillard. Don't know, I forgot that. And then Brandon Brooks also going down, and reports Carson Wentz isn't fully healthy either.
When is he?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. That was mean.
6-10 I have for them. I am not really too confident. I still like their defense, maybe besides the secondary Slay. I really liked Will Parks. I liked the moving Jalen Mills to safety. I feel like he's a better fit there than that corner. This team, it just feels incomplete, especially with all the injuries along the offensive line. They're going to be relying a lot on backup quality players, especially on the interior besides Jason Kelsey. Because they're moving. Jason Peters was supposed to be their left guard, but now he's moving back out to left tackle because of Andre Dillard. So their interior is going to be pretty weak besides Jason Kelsey. I see them losing Week 11 to the Browns and probably not recovering until Week 17 against the football team.
Man, one of the cuts that really surprised me for the Eagles. I know we're not really talking about roster cuts every team. Cre'Mon LeBlanc. He's always been their corner two, even when Sidney Jones was there. He also got cut. But Cre'Mon LeBlanc was always like a really good second corner for them. They cut him, and a lot of Eagles fans, rightfully so, were confused by that. I think he was a really good player. I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. I have to double check, but I feel like he's a starter on like half of the teams in the NFL. I didn't understand that cut at all. I guess it was for salary reasons. But
Probably because the
hopefully,
Eagles have been tight on salary cap for a while now.
hopefully LeBlanc can find his way back to a team that needs him. Maybe New England, but at the same time, I doubt it. I feel like he wouldn't fit in our defense. So you went over the Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm. No, not yet. Cowboys
Okay,
have
we'll go over the
going.
Cowboys real quick, and then we got to do.
Okay. Cowboys have going 8-8. I originally had them going 7-9, third in the division, but now I have them 8-8, first in the division with the number 4 seed in the NFC. I think their key win comes against the Eagles in Week 16. I think that'll be a good game for them, and then they just win against the Giants, puts them at 500, and they secure playoffs at 8-8.
NFC West. In my opinion, this might be the most competitive division.
I would agree.
Just out of pure strength. Their worst team I have going 6-10 was a playoff team a year ago. I have the Rams going 6-10. The only issue I have with the Rams is Goff. He's inconsistent. He does have a pretty deep ball, given that, but he's a little inconsistent at times. And I don't think that team is in a weird state where they have superstar talent on the ball. They have Jalen Ramsey, they have Aaron Donald, and they have Cooper Kupp. But the issue with that team is their supporting cast is lacking. Second corner beside Jalen Ramsey is Troy Hill. Have two really, really young safeties. Don't really have a lot of game experience. Taylor Rapp and Terrell Burgess. I'm a little hesitant on the Rams. I think they could compete. I don't think when you compare them to the Cardinals, you compare them to the Niners, and you compare them to the Seahawks, I think they're the worst out of the best division. If they were in another division, they'd probably be like a 7, 8, 9 win team. Just can't give it to them this year. I think they're going to be 6-10.
See, I think this is the best division. Excuse me. Got something stuck in my throat there for a second. Um, Best division in the league. I have the Rams also as the fourth team in the division, but I have them going 8-8. Their key loss is Week 16 against the Seahawks. They will also lose to the Cardinals in Week 17. That'll push them out of playoff contention. Really, I really like this team. I think it's solid. Again, Jared Goff is a bit inconsistent. Sean McVay, he keeps his offense going. I don't think the Rams haven't had a top 10 offense ever since McVay has become their head coach. So I don't. Even though Goff's inconsistent, I still think their offense does well. I really like their rookie running back that they drafted in the second round, Cam Akers. I'll talk about him probably a little bit later, honestly.
I know what that means. I guarantee you right now, you couldn't guess my offensive rookie of the year in 10 tries.
I don't think you'd be able to guess mine unless I
Oh,
said
well,
that.
I mean,
You can now.
yeah.
You can now. But yeah, Rams 8-8 as the bottom of the division, which is honestly really good.
It is. Cardinals. This team, there's a weird buzz around it in the way that they made the moves this offseason. I'm really hyped for it. Cliff Kingsbury in his second year as a head coach. I'm looking forward to the Cardinals. 9-7, but it's a strong 9-7 because they're playing in the NFC West. I think that is enough to make the playoffs. I think the NFC West will have 3 teams in the playoffs this year. I have them losing Week 6 versus the Cowboys, and that's kind of the wake-up game. And I think that's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. That they need to step it up. I'm really excited to watch the Cardinals. Only issue I have is the defense. I think the offense will be very good. Defense, I'm a little worried about the front seven outside of Chandler Jones, best pass rusher in the league. But I'm a little worried about outside of that. I don't really have another guy to take the pressure off Chandler Jones. And I also think Isaiah Simmons is going to help bump that team up to. They may not have the best front seven, but you're not going to throw towards Isaiah Simmons. If you're smart, you're not throwing at Simmons and you're not throwing at Pat Pete. So there's not going to be a lot of passing, I don't think. I think it'll be a very the way to attack the Cardinals is going to have to be dump downs because you're not attacking that team deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9-7. It's a strong 9-7 for me.
I also have the Cardinals at 9-7. I think the game that keeps them out of playoffs is Week 12. I have them losing to the Patriots. Bill Belichick is just really good against young quarterbacks, and I think the Patriots defense gets the best of Kyler Murray in Week 12. That's the one loss that keeps them out of the playoffs. Otherwise, I'd have them as a playoff team, the third playoff team, instead of probably the Falcons as a 7th. But yeah, they just miss out on playoffs. I really like their defensive pieces that they have. Like you said, Chandler Jones doesn't have like that pass rushing partner, but I think he's kind of proven that he really doesn't need it to get production over these past few years. I could probably have him as a playoff team if I trusted their defensive coordinator more. I don't trust Vance Joseph at all, especially with a player like Isaiah Simmons. I don't know how they're going to use him. With Vance Joseph loving to run base so much, I'm just not confident in his ability, and I think that gives them a few losses here and there.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the top 2, the kind of the obvious top 2 in the NFC West. This is going to be a fun matchup to watch that
Oh
season.
yeah.
49ers, I have going 11-5. He lost being week 17 versus the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks kind of closed the door on that. We're a better team type thing. But 49ers at 11-5. I think it's going to be good. I think Garoppolo needs to make a step forward. I think that's what this season should be about, is Garoppolo taking a step forward. They don't have all of the running backs they had last year. Breida left, got traded to the Dolphins. And did Tevin Coleman make the roster?
Yeah, he did.
I think he did.
He did, yeah.
It's going to be Coleman and Mostert. I haven't heard anything about McKinnon. I haven't seen any news about McKinnon. I can't say anything about it. But I think this is going to be the year where you have to let Garoppolo throw the ball. I think Shanahan, I know he said he was quote-unquote bored with the passing game. I know he said that. But you have to give Garoppolo a shot, especially after that Super Bowl. Now, does he have it in him? I have no idea. I don't know. I know he's a winning quarterback, but I don't know if he's a good throwing quarterback. We'll see. I'm going 11-5, and I have them making some noise in the playoffs.
Okay. I have the Seahawks going 11-5 as the second place team, as the number 5 team in the playoffs. I think their key win comes against the Cardinals in Week 7 right off their bye. I think that gives them good momentum. They could pick up a win against the 49ers in Week 8 and carry some of that momentum into the late parts of the season. The Seahawks, it's the Russell Wilson show. Has been, probably always will be, especially with how that organization drafts. I really like DK Metcalf, and they got Tyler Lockett. They got 2 solid receivers for Russell Wilson. I think they just need to, the coaching staff needs to learn to trust Wilson more and let him throw the ball more instead of running it so much. I think if they do that and probably get him some better help on the offensive line this upcoming offseason, maybe some more help on defense, because that defense has been pretty depleted as of recent, that they can really return to form, like actual Super Bowl contention form. But they're always in contention for playoffs just because they have Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I have the Seahawks going 13-3. I have them, like I said, beating the 49ers Week 17 as kind of a prove-it game. And the only hole, I think, on the Seahawks is definitely the defense. I think that's the only hole they have. Pass rush is kind of a question mark. But beside the pass rush issue, I think the Seahawks are going to be ridiculous. And I think, like you said, it's going to be the Russell Wilson show. Now, speaking of Russell Wilson, those were our season predictions.
I didn't do 49ers.
MVP.
I didn't do 49ers.
Oh, really? I completely thought you said the Niners. I must have checked out. Go ahead.
49ers,
Sorry.
I have winning the division and the number 1 seed in the NFC at 12-4. I think their key win comes against the Seahawks in Week 17. That game decides the division. I think they start off kind of slow. They start off with a mainly running attack, like you would say. I think that's mainly because most of their wide receivers are injured. Deebo Samuel has a Jones fracture in his foot. Brandon Ayuk has also, the rookie receiver out of Arizona State, is also a little bit injured. And Jalen Hurd, we know how that, we talked about him earlier in the podcast a week or two ago. So their receiving core is kind of depleted right now. The only true receiver is George Kittle. So I believe that they stick with the run through their first, until those guys are relatively healthy, then we can see Garoppolo throw the ball a bit more.
Okay, sorry about that, Joe. I didn't mean to jump in front of you. So, MVP, I have going to Russell Wilson. The reason why...
Okay, I was waiting for the reason.
The reason why is from this. I think he's going to get some competition from the usual suspects, Lamar, Mahomes, and all them. But I feel like with the Seahawks winning a really tough NFC West like I predicted, I think that combined with maybe a somewhat down season from Lamar, because teams are going to start figuring out his little weaknesses. It's not going to be anything major, but I think it's going to. I think his passing touchdowns are going to go up, and his passing yards are going to go up. I think his rushing yards are going to go down. I think that's kind of what's going to give Russell Wilson the edge of the MVP vote. I have Russell Wilson winning his first MVP. Finally, he deserves it. Get him his MVP, please.
as much as I would
And
love
he's
Russell Wilson to get an MVP, I don't see it happening. Like I think he doesn't have a single MVP vote. I don't think he's ever had a single MVP vote, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Which is why
it's
I'd love
very
Russell Wilson to
ridiculous.
get MVP, but I have the MVP going to Patrick Mahomes, mainly because of the bias against Russell Wilson for some reason. Patrick Mahomes is just Patrick Mahomes. He probably would have won MVP again last season if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson's breakout season, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes wins his second MVP award in his 4-year career thus far.
I can't believe Russell Wilson doesn't have an MVP vote. That is so depressing.
Yeah. It's really criminal.
It is. Offensive Player of the Year. I kind of went a little traditional with this. I went Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Wow. Popular opinion. I know, but he's dominant. He's great. Best running back in the league. Wins Offensive Player. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I just think he's going to be dominant. The Panthers are going to run him into the ground
Oh, yeah.
again. So, barring injury, I think this is McCaffrey's award to lose.
So, I tried to go off the wall with some of these picks. Just like some like underdogs or dark horses for these awards. And for the same reasoning as you with Christian McCaffrey, I'm going with another running back, but I think he has worse quarterback play, which probably gives him a bit more of an edge. In my opinion, he's going to be the entirety of that offense. I'm going with Austin Eckler for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Wow.
I
That's
think
interesting.
he is that entire offense. I think he gets worse quarterback play than Christian McCaffrey does in Carolina, and I think he'll show that he deserves an Offense Player of the Year this year.
The only reason my only issue with Eckler is I don't know if he's going to get Melvin Gordon snaps because he was getting a lot of snaps even with Melvin Gordon on the team. I think the Chargers will probably give a lot of Melvin Gordon snaps to either John Kelly or Justin Jackson. One of those two. But I definitely think Eckler could, if he had Melvin Gordon's touches, yeah, I could see him winning being a dark horse for Offensive Player of the Year. Depoy, I went off the wall on this one. Last year, I feel like Gilmore kind of broke the ceiling for defensive backs to finally be recognized as Defensive Player of the Year candidates. They're starting to get paid like them. Minkah Fitzpatrick winning Defensive Player of the Year. I really can't wait to see that Steelers defense. I think that Steelers defense is going to be gross.
Yeah.
I think Minkah kind of is the reason that defense takes that next level. I have him winning Depoy. I have him getting like 5 or 6 interceptions. I have him getting a couple sacks, and I have him just dominating in tackles. I think Minka's going to be that guy this year. I can't wait to see it.
That's definitely fair.
He's
and
my Depoy.
Definitely an interesting take. Someone I probably didn't really think of either to win that. I went more traditional with this one. I went Chandler Jones, just because he deserves it. With the seasons he's been having and getting little to no recognition, he deserves a Defensive Player of the Year, and I want him to get one this year.
Now we're getting into the Rookie of the Years. No, I didn't want to be. Now let's be honest. Look, talking about it now, there's a 75 to 85% chance Joe Burrow wins this award.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't pick him because that's kind of like, you know what? I went off the rail. This guy is going to get a starting job week 1, it sounds like. And if not week 1, probably by week 4. I have Antonio Gibson as my dark horse offensive rookie of the year.
Well, we saw
I think that
football team's depth chart and had J.D. McKissick as a starter.
It did. I feel like that's because he's a veteran presence and he's a good pass blocker. But I think Gibson's going to be getting a lot of carries. Like I said, by a couple weeks. I can't wait to see it. I have him in fantasy. I'm not starting him yet because I need to see what he's doing the first few seasons. But out of all the offensive rookies, he's kind of one of my favorite, and I think he has the best chance to take over the bell cow back as soon as possible. So I think I have him as my offensive rookie of the year.
Honestly,
who do you got? We already know kind of.
I kind of thought you would go Antonio Gibson. But I already spoiled mine. I'm going Cam Akers for the LA Rams. Uh, I really like that pick. He was I think my fifth running back in this year's draft class after the top four of Swift, Hilaire, Dobbins, and Taylor. He was the back right after them, and I think he really fits well into the Rams scheme. I think he'll produce very well for them, and I think he has a great shot of getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. If it weren't for like Joe Burrow, he was probably guaranteed to win
Exactly.
it.
Now,
Barring
defensive
injury.
rookie, I was gonna go wild again with another prediction, but I'm going with one probably most likely to win the award. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because Chase Young probably is the most likely
Yeah,
candidate.
the first two
I'm
overall
going.
picks are the most likely.
I'm going Isaiah Simmons. I think he's going to transform that Cardinals defense. And again, freak of nature. It's just he shouldn't even be allowed. I mean, it's like kind of like when you create a linebacker in Madden. I don't know if you ever have done that before,
When you edit
but
the
you make
draft
him as
class,
tall.
yeah,
You make him as tall as you can. You make him as fast as you can,
best
and you
jumping.
just wreak havoc as the linebacker. Exactly. He shouldn't really be allowed, but he is, and he's going to be on the Cardinals. He's going to be playing middle linebacker. He's going to be playing strong safety. He's going to be playing slot cornerback. Everywhere. I have him as my dark horse D-Roy. And hey, maybe if Young misses a few games, hope he doesn't. I never want to wish injuries, but if Young misses a few games, you never know.
Yeah, I definitely thought about Isaiah Simmons, but I decided to go a little more off the wall. Honestly, I went with an interior defensive lineman. I went with Javon Kinlaw.
I thought you were about to say Derek Brown. I was
No,
going to laugh.
this is another one of my draft crush. Oh my lord, crushes. I really like Javon Kinlaw. Great replacement for DeForest Buckner. He was my number one interior defensive lineman in this year's draft class. And I wanted to go someone a bit off the wall. And on that 49ers D line, he definitely has the opportunities to really shine. And I think he could definitely take the most of those opportunities.
Now, we don't have this as a part of the script, but I really want to do this. Off the top of your head, Super Bowl prediction. Don't have to look at your records, just your gut feeling. Who do you have at the Super Bowl?
It's really hard to go against the Ravens for the AFC, honestly. It's so hard for me to go against the Ravens, so I have to pick them for the AFC. The NFC, I honestly, I want to say, there's something in me that wants to say Buccaneers, but I really don't want that to have happen. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Really? Interesting. Who do you have winning that? You don't have to give me a score. Who do you have winning that?
I think the Ravens have a more complete team than the Seahawks.
Interesting.
Lamar Jackson probably has more rushing yards than passing yards.
It would be interesting. Mine Super Bowl. I kind of thought about this when we were doing this breakdown. I have in the NFC going Tampa Bay. I don't know why. If you would have told me this 5 weeks ago that I was picking Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl, I would have thought you were smoking. But the past 5 weeks, they've added talent, and from what I've heard out of news, the team is gelling pretty well. And I think that's the only part about this team that's a negative is they haven't been together for very long. So I think that's definitely the one negative. But I'm picking them to represent the NFC. And the AFC, I thought about this for a little bit, and I couldn't pick against Baltimore, like you said. I couldn't. I think they're slightly better than the Chiefs this year. And the only other AFC team that I think maybe has a chance at hitting the Super Bowl would be the I just was on the tip of my head. My brain just.
I think probably the third
Titans,
team,
maybe.
third team after the Ravens and Chiefs would probably be Steelers somehow for me.
Titans, maybe something like that. I think it's the Ravens and Chiefs and the AFC and kind of everybody else.
Yeah.
So I have Tampa Bay, Brady hosting up another one. I think that this silence is the GOAT debate. It's got to. So that's my off the wall prediction. Will it happen? Probably not, because I jinx everybody. Oh, that's pretty much it. Sorry about the longer episode. How long was the episode?
We are at minute 10 right now, which is why we cut out the
Yeah,
weekly
we would be here another
sessions.
10 minutes if we did the weekly sessions. So thank you again, guys, for listening. I know the podcast is a little late this week. Apologize. We couldn't find a time to be free at the same time. We're just I turned 21, so
Yeah.
I had my own stuff going on. Brennan's had work. So I decided we're going to do our podcast on Tuesday from now on during the season, right?
Yes, Tuesdays.
Because Monday Night Football, we want to be able to talk about Monday Night Football. So our podcast will be coming out on Tuesdays. Hopefully very consistently. We've been pretty good doing it every week. This is the latest we've ever done one.
It just depends on what time I work, honestly.
It depends whether I get dragged to the casino by my crazy parents. They're amazing though. Yeah, it was a trip. Anyway, but yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you guys listened this far, NFL football season, kick up your chair tonight and just get something to distract
Patrick
you.
Mahomes, let's go, baby.
Can't wait to see it. Battle of
Real quick, if you got Texans Chiefs
tonight. Oh man, this is tough.
Really quickly,
I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs going. I think they win 28-27.
Ooh, very close game. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Chiefs as well, even though I'd rather have the Texans win. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, 35-21.
Ooh, 35. Yeah, it's gonna be a high-scoring game. Neither defense is very elite. It's gonna be a very high-scoring game. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait, man. I'm so excited. I might even take a nap beforehand just to stay up late. Who knows? We'll see. I think I also have a Madden League game to play tonight. Ugh. But if you guys listen this far, we appreciate it. Regular season's here, so podcast's going to come out every week on Tuesdays. Look forward to it, and we'll see you guys next week on the Belichick's Bitches podcast.